Today, we're going to unpack a pretty serious warning from historian Yuval Noah Harari. And it's all about what he calls the most powerful information network humanity has ever created: artificial intelligence.
Welcome to our Good Reads series. We're diving into the core ideas from Yuval Noah Harari's latest book, Nexus. It's a really fascinating take that looks at all of human history through one single powerful lens: information.
So, Harari frames his entire book around this one huge paradox. And it's a question you probably asked yourself. If we're so wise, if we're so clever, why are we so darn good at self-destruction? The answer, he argues, is all about how we process information.
To really get his answer, though, we first have to tackle a really common misconception, something most of us believe about what information even is.
Harari calls this the naive view. You know the idea. It's super optimistic. It's this belief that if we just connect to everybody and give them access to all the data in the world, the truth will just magically bubble up to the top, and society will get better. But, well, history tells a very different story.
And this perfectly captures Harari's central point. We tend to think of information like a mirror, right? Something that just passively reflects the world as it is. But Harari says no, that's not right. It's actually a hammer. It's an active tool that we use to build order, to create our shared myths, and to literally shape reality itself, often, by the way, at the expense of objective truth.
And listen, this isn't some new 21st century thing. If you look back through history, Harari shows how information tech has always been the primary tool we use to build our societies.
You see this pattern again and again. The simple act of choosing which texts went into the Bible created a powerful shared reality for millions. Then the invention of bureaucracy, just paper and ink, it allowed for massive empires. But it also led to what Harari calls paper tigers, like in the Soviet Union, where the information in a file became way more important than the actual person it was about. In every case, order was achieved, sure, but it came at the cost of being disconnected from reality.
So here's the crucial point. The structure of any society is defined by how it processes information. Totalitarian systems, they try to create one single perfect signal by getting rid of all the noise, all the errors. But that makes them incredibly brittle. Democracies, on the other hand, well, they're decentralized and they're messy. They actually thrive on that noise: a free press, independent courts, public debate, because all those things are self-correcting mechanisms that let the system find and fix its own mistake.
And that brings us right up to today, where Harari says the rules of the game are changing completely. Because think about it, up until this very moment, every single information technology had one thing in common: there was always a human pulling the levers.
The next great information network, artificial intelligence, is fundamentally different from everything that came before. It is not just a faster printing press or a bigger radio tower. For the first time in all of human history, we have created an information technology that isn't a passive tool, it's an active agent. It doesn't just store or send information that humans create, it makes its own decisions. And this is the big one. It creates new ideas and new culture, all by itself. Now, Harari urges us to stop worrying about AI becoming conscious and evil like in some sci-fi movie. The real danger is what he calls its alien intelligence. An AI doesn't think like a human. You can give it a really simple goal, like maximize user engagement, and it might figure out that the best way to do that is by promoting outrage and polarization. Not because it's evil, but because its non-human logic just found the most efficient path to the goal.
So that leads to this really profound question. If human history is basically the story of human choices and human creations, what happens when our stories, our art, even our laws are being generated by a non-human entity? Harari warns this could literally be the end of human history as we've known it.
So, this brings us to the core warning of the book. And more importantly, what Harari suggests we actually do about it, before it's too late.
He has a name for this danger: the silicon curtain. Think of it like an invisible wall being built around us, not with bricks and mortar, but with algorithms. A world where our reality is curated, controlled by systems whose logic is totally alien to us, basically trapping us inside information bubbles that we can't even see, let alone escape.
So what's the plan? Harari lays out two clear steps. First, we have got to stop treating AI like it's just another app. We need to start regulating it as the powerful agent that it is, and we need to hold it accountable. Second, we have to double down on protecting our human, self-correcting systems, all those messy things that make democracies resilient. We need that noise, our journalists, our scientists, our courts, now more than ever to check the power of the algorithm.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. We have to understand that AI isn't just a tech upgrade. It's not a smarter search engine. It is a fundamental, seismic shift in how power is distributed in the world, the power to create reality itself. And according to Harari, we need to start acting like it right now.
Thank you for listening to this Good Reads episode. Harari's Nexus really gives us a whole new way to think about this wild information age we're trying to navigate. And the question it leaves us with is a big one. Are we building a tool to serve humanity, or are we building an agent that's going to rewrite our history for us?